Chapter 5138. Look at him. I'm afraid he can't wait to stab my stomach, Mother Lin said fearfully. In fact, she didn't know when it started, but she felt that Lin Kai didn't care about the two of them at all. This was the reason why she wanted a second child. Should we get Xiao Gua to take a look? I felt that something was wrong with him before. He's changed too much. Mother Lin said softly, still protecting her stomach. Every time, he mysteriously disappears and insists on finding those Taoists to catch demons. In the end, he cripples himself. The two of them also knew what was going on with Lin Kai. Tang Gua had instructed Qin Chong to tell the two of them the whole story. When the two of them heard that Lin Kai had provoked a special department, their souls almost flew out of their bodies. At their level, they had come into contact with more people and knew that some departments couldn't be casually provoked. In the end, her son actually went to stab a demon's nest. He was lucky to be alive. Snatch, snatch. According to Qin Chong, if Lin Kai hadn't courted death, he wouldn't have ended up in this state today. Then let's get Xiao Gua to come over and see what's going on. By the way, did you tell Xiao Gua that there's a way to protect the fetus? Yes, she said there's a way. She'll give me a response in a few days. A few days later, Tang Gua came to the Lin family and gave Mother Lin a bottle of pills. This is a pregnancy protection pill. Take 1 pill a day for a month. Then, you don't have to worry about the child. Mother Lin looked at the fragrant pills in the bottle and all her doubts disappeared. This thing that made her feel very comfortable with just a sniff must be useful. Xiao Gua, I feel like he's been possessed. Did he provoke those demons and put a curse on him? Auntie, don't worry. Now, all the demons have a number. These demons can't casually use their demon power on ordinary people. If they're discovered, they'll be locked up and punished. Lin Kai shouldn't be possessed. It's probably a series of encounters that made his personality change drastically. The two of them felt that it made sense. As for Tang Gua's suggestion to enlighten Lin Kai, they didn't really want to. It's fantasy. Because every time Lin Kai looked at them, his eyes were gloomy and terrifying. She couldn't love such a son even if she wanted to. Tang Gua left. If nothing unexpected happened, she would not have to go to the Lin family in the future. Later, she received a call from the Lin family saying that Lin Kai had pushed his mother down the stairs. Mother Lin's bones were fractured from the fall, and there were many abrasions on her body. They all thought that the fetus could not be saved, but unexpectedly, the fetus was healthy and unharmed. Later on, Lin Kai's mother's pregnancy was bumpy. She was pranked by Lin Kai several times. The two of them couldn't take it anymore and decided to send Lin Kai to a remote villa. Only then did Lin Kai successfully give birth. What surprised the two of them was that no matter what happened to Mother Lin, the child was still alive and well. They thought that the pregnancy pills Tang Gua gave them were really useful. Mother Lin had some thoughts. Not long after she gave birth to the child, she came to inquire about it. She knew some madams in the circle, and this kind of pill should be very popular in their circle. Mother Lin, the mission my master gave me was to protect the bloodline of your Lin family. Now that the bloodline of your Lin family is there, if nothing unexpected happens, this child will live healthily until he's old. I've already done what I've done. You know that the pill is very magical. It's not something that can be obtained just because you say so. Mother Lin smiled embarrassedly and then left. She didn't dare to be unreasonable. The main reason was that she knew that Tang Gua had a good relationship with the people in the special department. It was said that those demons respected her very much. Chapter 5139. If it's gone, then it's gone. In any case, her youngest son will be safe and sound for the rest of his life. Lin Kai did not give up. He was already completely broken down and still wanted to harm his own brother. However, after failing every time, Father Lin finally hardened his heart and sent him to a remote place abroad to retire. A year later, Lin Yikai's caretaker realized that the Lin family did not value him at all. He did not take care of him anymore and even spent the living expenses that the Lin family left for Lin Yikai. Lin Yikai's life was worse than death. 978. Do I really not have a next life? Lin Yikai smelled the smelly clothes on his body and asked 978, who had not spoken for a long time. From the beginning, I have never lied to you. It's you who did not believe me. The ending now is not your own fault. It's obvious that the heavenly Tao is against you. You want to be exterminated. This is probably your late retribution. You have been a peerless scumbag for so many lifetimes. The things you have done are much worse than what you are experiencing now. It's normal to get this result. Actually, I have thought about it over the years. Even if you really succeed in the mission, the heavenly Tao will still punish you in the end. Lin Yikai was not reconciled. Can you think of another way? I will listen to you this time. I will do whatever you say. It's useless. I am just a failed product, a scrapped system. I coincidentally obtained the essence of heaven and earth, which is why I can choose the host to do the mission. Now that you have not completed a mission, I can't help you with anything. Lin Yikai had a dream. He dreamed of the world he was experiencing. Everything he experienced there was different from his current situation. In the dream, every time he went to a world, he could smoothly complete the mission. Although there were some methods that were rather excessive, he could always complete the mission. He saw the day he completed the mission. He thought that he would be free from the constraints of the mission and become a very free person in the 3,000 worlds. Unexpectedly, he and 978 were both struck by a bolt of lightning. 978 was struck into pieces, and his body was also struck into pieces. An unknown force sucked away his soul, and what followed was intense pain. He didn't know how long he was tortured, but he gradually perished between heaven and earth. Lin Yikai woke up with a start. He patted his chest and smelled the stench on his body. He thought of the pain in his dream. For a moment, he didn't know which was better. When Lin Yikai died, Tang Guo was still alive. As soon as he died, 978 came to Tang Guo. Hello, are you interested in going to the 3,000 worlds to do missions? As long as you complete the mission, you will receive many rewards. You will also gain immortality, retain your memories, and live forever. There are many benefits. If you agree, let's bind. When Tang Guo heard 978's voice, she was surprised. This guy had become polite. The system panicked when it heard this. This brat, if it had known earlier, it would have tried its best to swallow him. Brat, are you trying to eat fart? Who gave you the guts to steal from me? Say. Senior. Boss, 978 was really shocked. Why did Tang Guo have a system by her side? In the blink of an eye, 978 understood everything. Big brother, you guys were there before. System, of course, you have some skills too. The ability to escape and hide. This is a talent, right? This kind of system is quite rare. Sigh, actually, I am just an unqualified waste product produced by a factory. When they were transporting rubbish, I happened to fall out and accidentally absorbed the essence of heaven and earth. Then, I gained consciousness. Hiding and escaping should be because I absorbed the essence of heaven and earth. Peak. Chapter 5140. 978 felt that the system and Tang Guo did not have any ill intentions. After what happened in these few worlds, he did not think that they were bad people, so he started to talk about his origin. Then do you still know where you came from? Tanguo grasped the key point and asked. Yuanhui Spacetime Factory, boss, which factory did you come from? After introducing himself and asking the other party, 978 thought that this was a very normal thing, but he did not expect the system to have no intention of answering. Tanguo noted down the name of Yuanhui Spacetime Factory, and planned to ask the system to ask other systems if they knew of the existence of this factory. Boss, can I follow you? 978 made a small request. I will listen to you in the future. Intuition told him that these two were real bosses. Their methods were silent, and no one could see any movement. This is definitely not possible, one host and one system. The system quickly said, you can find another one with good character. I think that Bai Yuming is not bad, you can go find her. Tanguo agreed, you can go find Bai Yuming, she is not bad, but before you go, you can stay here and let my little Tongzi train you. At the same time, you can leave your contact information so that it will be convenient for you to communicate in the future. Also, I don't know if your original factory is good or bad, but if you agree to stay, it means that you are a system on our side and cannot help them. That's for sure, they have already given up on me. I can't be so stupid to go back. 978 knew that it was not possible to bind Tanguo, but Bai Yuming was not bad. Previously, he had his eyes on Bai Yuming and Tanguo. Sure enough, his vision became better, and he picked a boss in one go. Tongzi, teach him, he will not cause trouble in the future. From this day onwards, 978 became the system's little brother. The system also tried its best to train 978. As long as 978 did not fight with him for the host, it was a good system. Tanguo's lifespan in this world was quite long, more than 100 years. Even if her cultivation had been improving, her lifespan could not be increased. Before she left, the three members of the Lan family were about to become immortals. Those little demons didn't quite understand. Clearly, Tanguo's cultivation was the highest, but why was her lifespan only around 100 years? In fact, Tanguo was also very confused when she was more than 100 years old. She was confused about how she could live for more than 100 years. Didn't the original owner die when she was very young? One day, when he was discussing this with the system, 978 overheard it and told them about Lin Yikai's dream. Lin Yikai later told 978 about the things in the dream, including the things in this world. You mean, in Lin Yikai's dream, he completed all the missions? Yes, but he ended up in a miserable state. He told me that after he completed his mission and ran out of life, he would leave this place. After she left, Tanguo got into a conflict with the members of the League of Monster Hunters and was seriously injured. She couldn't make any more progress in her cultivation and slowly died of old age. So it's like that, Tanguo had no more doubts. Go and find Bai Yuming. Keep in touch with Tongzi. Boss, goodbye. Bai Yuming still couldn't believe that Tanguo had left. What was even sadder was that her big brother had left with her. She didn't know if her big brother had a premonition, but all these years, he actually didn't have any intention of cultivating the monster core. Until one day, a system called 978 said that it wanted to bind with her and bring her to travel to different worlds to complete all kinds of missions. You mean, Sister Tang didn't die? Even my big brother didn't die? Yes, host. You don't have to be sad. If you want to be a boss, I can help you send an email. Boss said that good hosts had to learn how to flatter and praise them. The host had to work hard to complete missions. Be a good Tongzi at all times and encourage the host to complete missions. Only then could they improve together. What about my big brother? My boss said that the two bosses are a pair. They will appear in the same world every time. You don't have to worry. Who's your boss? Bai Yuming was curious. Everything was too unbelievable. My boss is a very awesome system. Peak. Chapter 51-41. Margaret, I'm praying. Ziyun, is it useful? Qi Shao, she's just trying to comfort herself. Mo Yuntian, you'll get used to it. Stop laughing at Margaret. If she gets angry, she'll curse us again. As soon as Mo Yun said that, the whole screen burst into laughter. Margaret's mouth twitched. Margaret, how could Margaret be such a petty person? She doesn't want to argue with people like you. When Tang Guo woke up, there was a very clear and big mirror in front of her. She glanced at her gorgeous outfit and the furnishings around her. She instantly guessed her identity. Just as she was thinking of an excuse to look at her memories, a voice came from beside her. Sister Xiaoguo, there's still some time before the show starts. It won't be your turn so soon. Do you want to rest for a while? How much longer? Tang Guo asked casually. The assistant looked at her watch and said with a smile, there's still half an hour. You haven't rested well for the past 2 days. Hurry up and catch up on sleep. You'll be in a better state on stage later. Sister Xiaoguo looks so good today. When the fans see you, they'll definitely lick the screen for another day. Okay. Tang Guo agreed. She leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. 30 minutes was enough for her to finish looking at the memories of this world. She had fans. She was probably an actress, and a very popular one at that. She didn't know what kind of event it was tonight. She was dressed so grandly. It probably wasn't a simple award ceremony. There might even be a performance. The moment she closed her eyes, she finally saw those memories. She was indeed an actress. She had a very good reputation both in the industry and outside of it. Her identity wasn't ordinary. She was the only daughter of the famous entrepreneur and philanthropist Tang Tianxua, Che Ruoqin. It was the legendary existence that if she didn't act well, she would have to go home and inherit the family fortune. She didn't have such an agreement with her family. Their agreement was that no matter how successful she was in acting, she had to go home and inherit the family fortune before she turned 40. Even though she was busy acting, she didn't neglect to learn how to manage a company. For the sake of her family business and her own career, her schedule was packed. She had almost no free time. It was impossible for her to participate in the filming of reality shows. She didn't even have the time to accept some advertisement endorsements. She was most interested in acting and could be said to be the most selective person in the industry. However, the people who had interacted with her all had very high opinions of her. Her acting talent was even better. She was the kind of person who was blessed by God. At the same time, because she had received a good education since she was young, she would not treat others with superiority. In other words, she would not put on airs. She had debuted at the age of 15, and now she was 22. With her own abilities, she had already won several awards for Best Actress and Best Actress. Today's gala was a gala from her local station. Although she did not necessarily attend other programs, her hometown station would always be very supportive and meticulously prepare 1 or 2 programs every year. He was giving face to his hometown and also giving benefits to his fans. In everyone's eyes, she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She was a princess now and would be a queen in the future. She would always shine brightly and be looked up to by others. Unfortunately, many things did not develop in the direction people expected. A person called He Xiaomi appeared and broke all the halos on the body of the original owner. She even stepped on her into the mud. Vertex. Chapter 51-42. He Xiaomi, a very simple name. The name was simple and pleasant to the ears. She was also very pretty. She had a sweet smile when she smiled. Although her skin was not as fair, she was still considered a little beauty. This was especially true for her simple temperament and her pair of sparkling and clear eyes. In this noisy and impetuous city, it was like a cool breeze that blew past, clearing away the dust in one's soul. This was what everyone thought when they saw Xiaomi grab. It was not known when, but many people began to pursue that kind of extremely simple beauty. It did not even matter if that person was beautiful or not. As long as that person wore simple clothes, spoke simple words, and had a pair of sparkling eyes, regardless of what kind of person they were, they would be given such a title. Every time they saw such a character, many people would look at another type of person who wore expensive clothes or jewelry and step on them. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Beauty like this was the true natural beauty. Nature was truly beautiful. Those that relied on external decoration were not beauty at all. Of course, Xiaomi's appearance was not a blow caused by her appearance. It was Xiaomi's purpose in coming to the city. She brought a destructive disaster to the host, no, to the family Tang. Xiaomi was born in a very remote mountain village. Most of the people in this mountain village had the surname He, so it was called He Village. There were more men than women in this village. It was not that there were no girls born, but there was still a serious preference for boys. They thought that a girl could not carry on the family line and could not continue the family line. They would use some very extreme methods to get rid of the poor baby girl. Most of the time, this was the result. This kind of thing happened many times. Over time, the men here could not find a wife. There was a situation where they kidnapped a wife to give birth to a child and formed an industry. The women who were kidnapped here had a very small chance of escaping. Not only were they forced to give birth to children and work, they were also beaten and scolded endlessly. Those who were disobedient were chained and even had their legs broken. This way, they could not escape. Some would even destroy their faces. The men here did not care if the women were beautiful or not. They only cared if they could give birth to children. In their opinion, as long as their faces were destroyed, the women would not have the courage to escape. The host's mother, Che Ruoqian, had such an experience. Xiaomi was a daughter she was forced to give birth to in the mountains. This secret was the pain of her life. After she escaped, she planned to hide this secret forever. She did not tell anyone and even changed her name. When Che Ruoqian was kidnapped to He village, she was in the summer of her 2nd year. She wanted to stay in the city to find a job. The Che family was not rich, and it was difficult for her to live on. She also did not want her parents to be too tired. This was the main reason why she chose to stay and work part-time. In the end, she was deceived and brought to this mountain. She was sold to a family in the village. The man was in his 30s and was called He Dijin. He Dijin's family was very simple. There were only him, his mother, and old Madam He. At first, Che Ruoqian was terrified and desperate. She had finally managed to get into a university and had the chance to change her fate. In the end, she had been tricked by a swindler and sold here. At that moment, she felt as if the sky had collapsed. Faced with He Dijin and old Madam He's persuasion, she didn't listen at all. Chapter 51-43. What did they mean by all women were like this? They had to give birth and couldn't escape. It was better to stay here and live a good life. Che Ruoqian couldn't help but shout at that time. Why did these people want to destroy her life and dreams? Why? However, old Madam He and He Dijin were uneducated people. In their opinion, life and dreams were to get married and have children. Nothing else was important. In their eyes, Che Ruoqian was the wife they bought. They paid money, so Che Ruoqian was part of their family. Want to run? No way. She had to stay here and give birth to a son for them. If she couldn't, they would break her legs. In the first few days, they didn't give Che Ruotian any food and starved her to death. They wanted her to have no strength to run and accept her fate. Che Ruotian didn't want to accept her fate, but she was so hungry that she calmed down. This was the other party's territory. She didn't know how far it was from the city. Even if she could run out of the village, she couldn't escape from their hands. However, the He family's mother and son didn't give her a chance to think. He Dijin took advantage of her when she was weak. They only gave her a little food every day. She had no room to resist. She begged and said that she would give them a lot of money in the future. The He family's mother and son wanted her to give birth to a fat baby. They couldn't agree. No matter how much money they had, could they buy a golden grandson? They finally got a number to buy a woman. How could they let her go with just a few words? Che Ruotian was pregnant and could finally eat. Other mothers got married and had children. It was the fruit of love. But she was a mother. She was forced. She only felt that the child she was pregnant with was a sin. How could she like it? Even if she was pregnant, she didn't give up the idea of escaping. She was just not as naive as before. She didn't want to hurt her stomach. She couldn't leave at all. The He family's mother and son saw that she was obedient and didn't make a fuss. She was just silent every day, so they relaxed a lot. The women in the village who had just arrived were all like this. They were excited and ran over to accept their fate. In order to give birth to a fat baby, Che Ruotian had a lot of freedom. She ate a lot more food every day. Che Ruotian knew that she had to take care of her body to have a chance to escape. She would meditate for half an hour every day, telling herself not to forget her dreams, her identity, and the beauty of the outside world. She could not stay here forever. When she was pregnant, she had seen the fate of countless women who tried to escape. She was scared and her scalp was numb. She also understood that it was not easy to escape. 10 months later, she gave birth to a healthy daughter. Of course, the He family's mother and son were unhappy. The two of them even said that they wanted to throw their daughter out and drown her. This made Che Ruotian realize that this village was a sinful place. She had to escape. She did not show any extreme emotions. She only asked the two of them to give up the urge to drown the child. She didn't love this child. In fact, she hated this child. However, she was a university student. She had learned a lot and understood the value of life. She was unable to love this child. Even if she escaped in the future, she would not be able to acknowledge this child. Perhaps the only thing he could do was to save her life, and that would be considered even. The girl survived and was named He Xiaomi. Under Che Ruotian's clever words, the He family's mother and son felt that she was well-behaved and obedient. In the future, she would definitely give birth to a fat little boy who would treat her much better. Che Ruotian had won everyone's trust and didn't think that she would run away. Vertex. Chapter 51-44. However, she ran away a year later and was very successful. She was also lucky to meet a hiker in the mountains. With his help, she escaped from the small village and returned to the city. After leaving He village, Che Ruotian immediately pulled herself together. It was not that she did not want to go back and seek justice, but that unbearable memory made her suffer too much. Later, she looked through the information about this, and the final result was chilling. Snatch, snatch. Those people did not receive any punishment at all. On the contrary, her peaceful life might be broken again. And that child in the mountains might be kidnapped by morality. And her parents, relatives, and the people around her. If they all knew about this, would she still be able to live a peaceful life? Would her studies be affected because of this? This time, she chose to escape. She did not have the courage to do all this. Doing those things would only cruelly tear open the wound that had just closed. However, when she thought of the women in the mountain village who were as desperate as her, Che Ruotian did something else. She asked the hiker who helped her to find out about the women in the village and send them to their families. She could only do so much for him. Che Ruotian did not pay attention to what happened after that. She hoped that this dusty memory would never appear again. With the help of the hiker, she successfully explained the 2 years that she had disappeared. She even changed her name and made some minor adjustments to her face. Later, with her own efforts, she got a good job. After accumulating a sum of money, she successfully started a business. At another cocktail party, she met Tang Tianxua. In fact, she was afraid of men, which caused many of her pursuers to shrink back. Only Tang Tianxua was persistent. He pursued her for 5 years and she was moved. She thought that this was her happiness and chose to marry Tang Tianxua. The past was like a gust of wind. She did not remember anything. Later, they had a real love product, which was Tanggua. She seriously raised her daughter, hoping that she could become a strong, capable person who would not be bullied. She also pulled Tang Tianxua to do a lot of charity, gave many university students internship opportunities, and established a foundation to help university students defend their rights. Until today, everything was developing beautifully. Che Ruotian and Tang Tianxua were a pair of immortal couples in the circle. Everyone was envious. In Wonderful Pen Workshop. Who would have thought that there was such an unbearable past behind Che Ruotian's back? He Xiaomi appeared in a very simple dress in the city. In the fast-paced city, her appearance undoubtedly added a touch of greenery to the city, making people feel refreshed and natural. He Xiaomi did not find Che Ruotian at the beginning. She encountered some trouble when she arrived in the city. She was lucky to meet her Mr. Right. A very famous director in the circle, Su Qing. Chapter 5145. When Su Qing announced that the female lead of his new movie was a non-actress, it caused a huge sensation. After all, the original host was the one they thought was the most promising. Someone even revealed the original host's dressing during the audition. It really matched the image of the female lead in their hearts. At first, many people looked at it with rejection. Many people even felt that they couldn't accept a non-actress as the female lead of the movie. Under the influence of some people with ulterior motives, they crazily scolded He Xiaomi. Even when He Xiaomi's photo was released, many people scolded her and attacked her personally. They even said that she had a sugar daddy behind her. Those words were as unpleasant as they could be. Ordinary people would be furious when they saw it. Grab. He Xiaomi didn't know about the things on the internet, so she didn't know about those things and wasn't affected. Su Qing also protected her very well and taught her how to act seriously. He felt that He Xiaomi was really too simple. The role of the female lead in his movie was prepared for her. He Xiaomi agreed to act in his movie with only one condition. She didn't even mention any remuneration. She hoped that he could help her find her biological mother. TSK. Su Qing felt that this kind of girl was really cute. She wasn't like those people in the industry who would do anything for money and fame. His attitude towards He Xiaomi gradually changed, but he didn't notice it at the moment. He promised He Xiaomi that as long as she acted well in this movie, he would help her find her mother. He would also give her remuneration. He Xiaomi agreed happily. Not long after, they started filming in a closed-door environment. The public kept scolding He Xiaomi and it didn't stop. The original host didn't care about it. This kind of situation was really normal in the industry. It was just driven by some interests and marketing accounts that wanted to gain popularity. No one expected that after He Xiaomi and Su Qing's movie was released, it became popular the next day. The scolding on the internet disappeared. He Xiaomi's performance in the movie was pure and unpretentious. It was as if she really was the character. He Xiaomi also had fans and gradually became known. It could be said that she became popular after her debut. No one doubted Su Qing's taste anymore. At this time, someone started to stir up the momentum again. They dug out the original host's audition and even compared the two. The comments on the internet were basically that Tang Guo was indeed not suitable. They had to admire Su Qing's vision. The marketing account did not take a day or two to spread the news. Because Tang Guo's reputation was very good and she was very generous, this matter was dismissed within 2 days. He Xiaomi had a public account and learned how to surf the internet. From time to time, she would share her life and introduce where she came from. During the interview, she even said that she didn't want to be an actress and that it was pure luck that she got the role. She even said that compared to being an actress, she would rather find her mother. She wanted to use this platform to let her mother see. She hoped that her mother would come to see her when she knew. At this time, many people knew that He Xiaomi's mother had abandoned her when she was very young. They all scolded the woman for being heartless for abandoning such a cute daughter. Among He Xiaomi's fans, there was a special type of fan, the mother fans. They called He Xiaomi their daughter and said that if He Xiaomi's mother didn't dote on her, they would. In the past, when Che Ruoqian told those women's families, it was not useless. Many women's families went to look for them. That backward mountain village also received attention. Poverty alleviation, education, and road construction were done. It was no longer the small mountain village in the past. Now, there were no more cases of women abducting there. Now, because of Tang Guo, her daughter, Che Ruoqian would often pay attention to the news in the industry. She would also check the hot searches. She even had a public account. She also saw that He Xiaomi's search for her mother was trending. Chapter 5146. When Che Ruoqian saw the interview about He Xiaomi looking for her mother, she almost broke down on the spot. This gave her a feeling that all her happiness was about to be shattered. She was in a daze and didn't even know what to do. Her body collapsed and she didn't have much energy left. Tang Tianxua and the original owner of the body thought that Che Ruoqian was too tired and told her to rest more. Che Ruoqian didn't know what to say. The happiness that she carefully guarded might be gone soon. When her identity and He Xiaomi's identity were exposed, all the public opinion would implicate her daughter and husband. Snatch, snatch. She really loved her husband and daughter. At this moment, she scolded God for being so unfair. He couldn't let her cut off all ties with her past. She even thought that if she hadn't been soft-hearted back then and stopped the mother and son of the He family from drowning He Xiaomi, there wouldn't be a chance that He Xiaomi would be looking for her mother and exposing her past. Then she shook her head. Even if she could go back to the past, she couldn't do it. She was a highly educated person and a person who truly loved life. She could not watch a little life being drowned alive. Even if the little life was not her daughter, but a baby who had nothing to do with her, she could not stand by and watch. But He Xiaomi had already appeared. What should she do? Che Ruoqian looked at herself in the mirror. It was hard to tell her from her appearance and temperament that they were the same person. She even made some minor adjustments to her face. For example, some obvious moles were removed. It was the same for her body. When she escaped from that place, He Xiaomi was still very young. It was impossible for her to remember what she looked like. Other than the hiker, no one knew that she had been kidnapped. Even if the He family's mother and son stood in front of her, they wouldn't be able to recognize her. So, she didn't have to be afraid. He Xiaomi wouldn't be able to recognize her even if she stood in front of her. After thinking it through, Che Ruoqian calmed down temporarily. But she still decided to appear in public less. To prevent accidents from happening, it was hard to guarantee that the He family's members would see it. She didn't feel guilty or loved He Xiaomi at all. It should be said that she would be reminded of her painful past whenever she saw He Xiaomi. She didn't know if He Xiaomi knew what her biological mother had gone through. If it was exposed, it would be a huge blow to her. In order to confirm this, He Xiaomi secretly went to find out about the He family village. She found out that 2 years after she left, many people came to the He family village. They were all the women's families who had been kidnapped. The group of people who helped the He family village kidnap women had already been arrested and executed. However, the He family village was stupid. Other than criticizing them and warning them not to let such things happen again, the He family village actually let it go. Some of those women were brought back, while others stayed in the village to live. This was because this group of women could no longer live outside. They had accepted their fate. It was also because of this that even though He Xiaomi was a girl, she was still able to finish high school. This village had been helped by poverty alleviation, but now it was gradually getting better. Seeing this, Che Ruoqian's heart was filled with mixed emotions. Chapter 51-47. For a moment, she didn't know how to express her feelings. He Xiaomi didn't continue to study after high school because her grades were average and she didn't get into university. It was said that she wanted to find a mother since she was young. Seeing that other children had mothers, she wanted to have one too. After reading the information, Che Ruoqian still couldn't feel any motherly love for He Xiaomi. This child's existence hurt her. She wished that He Xiaomi had never come to find her. According to the information, He Xiaomi had some education. She should know something about the experiences of so many people in the village. That was to say, He Xiaomi should know why she left, but she still wanted to find her. Che Ruoqian certainly couldn't recognize He Xiaomi. After reading the information, she destroyed it. How she wished that the things that had happened in the past were like ashes in a brazier, blown away by the wind. Unfortunately, she couldn't. From that day on, she didn't show up much. She cherished the life between her husband and daughter more. Tang Tianxua and the host saw that Che Ruoqian was resting. They felt relieved and started to work. However, Che Ruoqian's avoidance didn't protect her hard-won happiness. He Xiaomi couldn't find Che Ruoqian's past by herself. However, behind He Xiaomi, there was a famous director, Su Qing, who had a good background and ability. Su Qing asked many people to help He Xiaomi find traces of her mother. In the end, all the evidence pointed to Che Ruoqian. After He Xiaomi found out who her biological mother was, she was very happy. She specially prepared for it and was taken by Su Qing to meet her mother. Didn't Su Qing know that Che Ruoqian was avoiding the past? Didn't he know how tragic her experience was? Of course, he knew. But he liked He Xiaomi, a simple girl. He just wanted to help her. He thought that Che Ruoqian's experience was caused by her being backward and uneducated. He Dijin and old madam he could be blamed, but not He Xiaomi. He Xiaomi didn't have a mother since she was young. She was very pitiful. Shouldn't Che Ruoqian share some motherly love with He Xiaomi? He Xiaomi was Che Ruoqian's daughter. Even if she didn't expect this daughter to come, she was already here. Since she was here, as a mother, she had to take on the responsibility of a mother. He didn't explain the situation to He Xiaomi. He directly took her to see Che Ruoqian. Che Ruoqian had been recuperating at home and rarely showed up. Su Qing chose the day when Tang Tianxua and the original owner were not there. When Che Ruoqian found out the purpose of their visit, especially when he Xiaomi happily called her mother, she finally lost her cool. She broke down in anger and shouted on the spot, "I'm not your mother. You've got the wrong person." He Xiaomi was indeed frightened by her mother's roar. She felt aggrieved that she was not acknowledged by her biological mother. She immediately burst into tears. Su Qing just couldn't bear to see He Xiaomi's pitiful appearance. He felt that Che Ruoqian was bullying her, so he said some words to reprimand Che Ruoqian. Every word pierced her heart, making her hate He Xiaomi's appearance even more. "I've never expected anything from her. You guys can leave. I don't want to talk about this anymore." Su Qing sneered, "No matter what, Xiaomi is your daughter. This is an undeniable fact of blood relations. If it wasn't for Xiaomi insisting on finding her biological mother, I wouldn't have come here with her. Since Madame Che is so heartless, I'll have to disturb you today. I don't think a heartless mother like you is suitable for Xiaomi. Xiaomi doesn't care about these things." Vertex. Chapter 51-48. After Su Qing left with He Xiaomi, Che Ruoqian broke down and cried for a long time in the room. The happiness that she fought so hard for was in danger and was about to be ruthlessly broken. She didn't know when this day would come, but she was sure that this day would come. She was confused, panicked, and in pain. She recalled the memories that were buried deep in her mind and couldn't pull herself out. However, she couldn't be sad for too long because her husband and daughter would come back to have dinner with her in the evening. Even if her happiness was about to be broken, she wanted to cherish this last piece. She carefully wiped the tears on her face and went to wash up again to make herself look like she hadn't cried. She also changed into a beautiful dress and put on exquisite makeup for herself. When Tang Tianxua and the original owner returned home, they saw her dressed up carefully. She looked so radiant. At dinner time, the whole family was happy and harmonious. After dinner, the family took a walk and watched TV. Laughter filled the house. Che Ruoqian was immersed in this happiness and hugged it tightly. She was afraid that the day would come soon and she wouldn't be able to continue this happy life. If all her happiness was destroyed one day, she would be able to recall it for the rest of her life. On the other hand, He Xiaomi was taken away by Su Qing. She was very disappointed. She asked again and again why her mother didn't acknowledge her when they were mother and daughter. Su Qing said sarcastically, "What else could it be? Do you know her identity? She is a famous female entrepreneur, a well-known figure in the country, and a famous philanthropist. She looks like a good person in front of others, but behind others, she is just a hypocrite. If people know that she has a daughter like you, it will be big news. How can she acknowledge you? Xiaomi, you are still too naive. This society is so complicated. People in this circle are not good. They are all interested in benefits. The so-called family is nothing in front of them." He Xiaomi asked pitifully, "Can't she acknowledge me as her biological daughter? If she really cares about you, why didn't she go back to find you for so many years?" Su Qing laughed. "If she acknowledged you, she wouldn't have the status she has today. She doesn't have the courage." He Xiaomi was depressed and didn't ask again. In a few days, He Xiaomi had to leave. Su Qing asked her where she was going, and she said she was going home. She had been out for so long, and her father and grandmother were still at home. She was worried about them, so she planned to go back and take a look, and tell them the results of finding her mother. Su Qing asked her if she was coming back, but He Xiaomi said she wasn't sure. Su Qing added, "If you like acting, come back. You're very suitable for this job. After you go back, you'll get married in a few years. Do you really want to live like that? If you act, you can earn money and achieve financial freedom. You can buy a big house in the city. You can also bring your grandmother and father to live here. You can also slowly choose the person you like. Xiaomi was a little tempted and expressed that she would consider it. She had a lot of money in her card now. Perhaps with this reason, her father and grandmother would agree, right? Xiaomi went home and told her family what had happened. As expected, the mother and son of the He family did not stop her from acting. The news of Xiaomi becoming a big star had actually spread throughout the village. Vertex. Chapter 51-49. Now that they knew that Xiaomi had found her mother and that Che Ruoqin didn't acknowledge her, they were furious. This woman was too heartless. She didn't even acknowledge her own daughter. They wanted to bring Xiaomi to seek justice. Xiaomi persuaded them to let it go. They would be despised if they went. But she didn't know that this wasn't what the mother and son were angry about. They were angry because that woman ran away silently. It was a great loss to them. Until now, they still couldn't have a chubby son. Even though the villagers in the mountain were moved to the foot of the mountain to build houses, they weren't so poor anymore. But they still couldn't have a chubby son. He Dijin even married a woman. Unfortunately, they had 2 daughters, but they still couldn't have a chubby son. Both of them thought that it was Che Ruoqian's punishment for running away. They blamed everything on Che Ruoqian. But they wouldn't say it out loud. They weren't stupid. Ever since they knew that the kidnappers were sent to jail, they knew that they couldn't mention it. They didn't stop Xiaomi from looking for her mother. A few years ago, He Dijin's second wife left with his 2 daughters. They didn't ask her to stay. If Xiaomi hadn't grown up and could help them with some work, she would have been supervised and every family would have to go through 9 years of compulsory education. Not to mention letting Xiaomi study, it would be troublesome to support them. Now that Xiaomi had grown up, she could work and earn money. He Dijin still wanted a son. His daughter was rich. It would be easier for him to find a woman to give birth to his child. Seeing that Xiaomi wanted to give up, the 2 of them didn't give up. They said that they wanted to see Che Ruoqian personally no matter what. Xiaomi had no choice but to bring the 2 of them. When Che Ruoqian saw He Dijin and old Madam He, she calmed down. She had expected this day, but she didn't expect it to come so quickly. She looked at Xiaomi deeply. Xiaomi was already over 18 years old. She really didn't know anything. Didn't she know what kind of harm this would bring to her? Facing He Dijin and old Madam He scolding, she couldn't be harmed at all. The silent Xiaomi also showed an aggrieved expression. She couldn't be harmed either. She didn't like Xiaomi. She didn't love this daughter. She even hoped that Xiaomi never appeared. If it wasn't for Xiaomi, she would definitely be happy. She could protect her happiness. What really hurt her was that their appearance would turn her happiness into a dream, and they would hurt the people who loved her and loved her. At that time, she was thinking that if she was guilty, please punish her alone. Why did it have to become like this? No matter what old Madam He and He Dijin said, Che Ruoqian was indifferent. On the day of the storm, she was ready. After the 3 of them left, Che Ruoqian sat by the window in a daze. What should she do? Actually, no matter what he did, all of this would be exposed. If Che Ruoqian did not exist at this time, would this matter not be exposed? Suicide. No, if she chose to commit suicide, there would definitely be people who would investigate the matter. The public opinion would still turn to her husband and daughter. There would even be people who would come up with conspiracy theories and analyze whether her death was related to her husband. Those marketing accounts were willing to do anything for the sake of traffic. Committing suicide in public was definitely out of the question. Vertex. Chapter 5150. What if she just had a small accident? Che Ruoqian decided to have a small accident as soon as possible. She would disappear from this world and Xiaomi would never be able to find her mother again. She knew that her husband and daughter would be in pain. She would be in pain too. But she also knew that if everything was exposed, her family would be in even more pain. She didn't want her daughter and husband to be oppressed by public opinion. Grab. Her daughter was only in her 20s. She was still chasing her dreams. Her husband had a successful career and was shining in his own field. It was her choice that made them face all this. She also selfishly wanted to leave a good side in their hearts. That way, she would always be perfect and flawless. It was winter that year. Che Ruoqian knew that the opportunity had come. The host and Tang Tianxua were both busy with their own careers. Che Ruoqian planned to drive out for a walk and enjoy the scenery. The road was very smooth. She really had a small accident. The car slipped into the lake and broke the ice on the lake. She and the car fell into the icy water. All of this seemed to be an accident. The result of the accident was also the same. It was an accident that took Che Ruoqian's life. No one thought that it wasn't an accident. He and Che Ruoqian acted too quickly. He Dijin, old Madam He and He Xiaomi were very surprised. He Xiaomi was a little sad and didn't know what to do. But He Dijin and old Madam He could only give up. There was no point in looking for her since she was gone. Moreover, Su Qing reminded them that Che Ruoqian was dead. If they made a big deal out of it, it would be bad for He Xiaomi. At that time, He Xiaomi would be under a lot of pressure from public opinion and might not be able to earn money. After this scare, the two of them didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Even if some people came to ask them why they were there, they just said that they were there to see He Xiaomi's living environment. The two of them were sent back by Su Qing. He Xiaomi continued to stay by Su Qing's side. She officially became an actress and slowly developed feelings for Su Qing. After Che Ruoqian died in the city, the host and Tang Tianxua were very sad. They couldn't accept that Che Ruoqian was gone just like that. The two of them blamed themselves. If they spent more time at home with Che Ruoqian, she wouldn't feel bored at home and drive out alone. The weather was so cold that ice had already formed on the surface. Che Ruoqian used to be very timid and would never take the risk to play. The father and daughter had been immersed in pain for several months. They had no choice but to start working and numb themselves with busyness. Whenever the two of them were free, they would visit Che Ruoqian's grave. The host accidentally discovered that there was another person who came to pay respects to Che Ruoqian. She was very surprised when she found out that it was He Xiaomi. She didn't think too much about it. She was just curious as to how He Xiaomi knew her mother and even came to pay respects to her. Until one day, when she was sorting out Che Ruoqian's belongings, there were some intermittent records of her feelings. She did not specify anything specific, but as she read on, she felt that something was wrong. She felt that Che Ruoqian was hiding a secret from her. Until one day, a stranger came looking for her. This person was the hiker who had helped Che Ruoqian do. For so many years, he and Che Ruoqian had only contacted each other through email. They had never visited each other. He knew that every time he appeared, he would remind Che Ruoqian of that nightmarish place. He had seen Che Ruoqian's miserable and pitiful appearance. He really felt pity for this girl who was 10 years younger than him. Che Ruoqian. He suddenly received the news of her death and had no choice but to visit. Chapter 5151. The hiker's name was Zhuo Qingfei and he had helped Che Ruoqian a lot. Actually, Che Ruoqian wouldn't have made it out of the village if she hadn't been holding on with her last breath. She had thought about dying countless times, but she wasn't willing to live like this for the rest of her life. When Zhuo Qingfei took her out, her emotions were very unstable and she would often wake up from nightmares. Zhuo Qingfei was already married at that time and had a very gentle wife. When she found out about Che Ruoqian's situation, she decided to help Che Ruoqian walk out of her nightmares with Zhuo Qingfei. It could be said that if it wasn't for their help, Che Ruoqian wouldn't have been able to rise up. It took her several months to recover from her injuries before she could live like a normal person. Zhuo Qingfei and his wife weren't in the city. They left after Che Ruoqian got better. They paid attention to her for a few years at first, but when they saw that she was getting better, they didn't pay much attention and only sent occasional emails to ask about her. Even when Che Ruoqian got married, they only sent gifts and didn't come. The two were very considerate. They were afraid that their appearance would remind Che Ruoqian of the unhappy incident in the He family village. They knew that even if that incident was sealed, it wouldn't disappear. It would always be in Che Ruoqian's heart. Zhuo Qingfei couldn't believe that Che Ruoqian had died suddenly, so he came. That day, the host and Tang Tianxua were organizing Che Ruoqian's belongings. Tang Tianxua had seen the book that recorded Che Ruoqian's feelings. Like the host, he felt that Che Ruoqian was hiding a secret. Unfortunately, she had already left and they couldn't find the answer. Zhuo Qingfei's sudden arrival made them feel strange. "You're saying that you're my mother's friend?" Zhuo Qingfei, "Yes, I want to know what happened to her." When he noticed that Tang Tianxua's gaze was strange, Zhuo Qingfei explained, "Don't misunderstand, we're just simple friends. I should say that I treat her as a sister. I have a wife and we love each other very much. My wife also has a good relationship with her." After listening to the explanation, the host and Tang Tianxua told Zhuo Qingfei about Che Ruoqian falling into the ice lake. Zhuo Qingfei still couldn't believe it. Che Ruoqian had survived such a difficult time and was now living a happy life, but she died because of an accident. And she went out to play in the winter when the roads were frozen. His intuition told him that things were not that simple. After knowing Che Ruoqian for so many years, he had never heard of her going anywhere alone. Ever since that incident, no matter where Che Ruoqian went, she would bring someone with her. She would never drive to such a remote place alone. Hearing Zhuo Qingfei's question, the original owner and Tang Tianxua suddenly fell into a trance. Yes, they were so sad that they had forgotten this matter. In their memories, Che Ruoqian would never go out alone. Even if he wanted to go grocery shopping himself, he would bring a bodyguard with him. On the day of the accident, the weather was cold. Not only did Che Ruoqian not bring her bodyguards, she even drove out by herself. Zhuo Qingfei originally suspected that one of the father and daughter had harmed Che Ruoqian, but now that he saw their dumbfounded expressions, the suspicion in his heart disappeared. "You mean my wife didn't die in an accident?" Like to wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down, please collect, wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down, fight bar updates the fastest. Chapter 51-52. Tang Tianxua did not understand. But the dashcam showed that it was indeed an accident. There were also special personnel who investigated the scene. There were no traces of human intervention. Zhuo Qingfei still did not believe that things were so simple. He had a possibility in his heart. Since there were no traces of human intervention, could it be that Che Ruoqian drove herself onto the icy road and deliberately slipped into the ice lake? When he suggested this idea, the father and daughter did not believe it. Their family of 3 lived a happy life. Che Ruoqian would not do such a thing. Shui Qingfei saw their reaction and understood that Che Ruoqian was still hiding the secret. Snatch, snatch. He knew Che Ruoqian. She must be very careful to protect this hard-won happiness. It was impossible for her to confess the past. In front of the father and daughter, she should always be happy. They did not notice that there was something wrong with Che Ruoqian. He decided to secretly investigate this matter himself. His son was very good at this and had a lot of connections. After saying goodbye to the father and daughter, Shui Qingfei found his son, Shui Yi, and asked him to investigate whether there was anything wrong with Che Ruoqian before and whether she had met anyone. Shui Yi was a reporter and was very good at digging up news. In less than a week, he investigated the matter of Che Ruoqian meeting He Xiaomi and the He family clearly. Not only that, he also investigated the background of the He family. Of course, the involved past could not be hidden from him. When Shui Qingfei saw the news, he finally understood why Che Ruoqian had an accident. The book was in the net. Just as he had guessed, Che Ruoqian wanted to end her life to cover up everything. She had survived the first nightmare in He family village and could not continue to survive the second one. It was difficult for a normal person to not break down in the face of such a thing. Very few people could really summon up the courage to face all of this. Now, someone wanted to destroy her happiness. She could not accept it. She cared too much about her happiness now. Thinking about what would happen in the future when the matter was exposed, she would be in so much pain that she wanted to die. Shui Qingfei, who had guessed the truth, was in a dilemma. He knew very well why Che Ruoqian did that. He was conflicted because if he told the truth to the family, they would be in pain. This was equivalent to ruining Che Ruoqian's careful plan. If he didn't tell her, he wouldn't feel good in his heart. Could he just let Che Ruoqian go like this? Were those He family members who were looking for trouble really going to let them live without any guilt? He Xiaomi, this so-called village girl, he felt that she was not that simple. Che Ruoqian had told him about this before. She had been forced to have He Xiaomi. She had tried to abort the child in the beginning, but she knew that it was a sin. She would never be able to accept this child. However, she wasn't even free. She was controlled by the He family's mother and son, so how could she do those things? Most importantly, she didn't want to die at all. She didn't want to end her life so carelessly. She had struggled for more than 10 years, and it was still a beautiful time. She was finally going to succeed, but God suddenly gave her a nightmare. She was still young. She didn't want to succumb to fate. She didn't want to risk her life just to abort this child. She also didn't want the He family's mother and son to break her legs and ruin her appearance just because she aborted the child. In that village, there were too many women like her. Chapter 51-53. Old Madam He was a cripple and there was a scar on her face from being burned by soot. She looked extremely ugly. She wanted to live and go out. She didn't want to become as hateful as Old Madam He. She had to keep her body intact and recuperate. If there was a chance in the future, she would be able to escape. Those who hadn't experienced Che Ruoqian's incident didn't have the right to judge why she couldn't fight to the death. Shui Qingfei was a hiking enthusiast. He had been to many places and seen many local customs. Some were good and some were bad. There were many shocking things in his life. Che Ruoqian's incident was one of them. Even if he could understand Che Ruoqian's pain, he couldn't guarantee that he could understand how much she was hurt. Because the joy and sorrow were not connected, there was no way to feel the exact same thing. Thinking of Che Ruoqian's experience, Shui Qingfei really didn't know what to do. He gave up hiking for those few months. Actually, he didn't go out all year. If he went out for a year, he would stay at home to accompany his wife for the next 6 months. He shared his conflict with his wife and son. The family of 3 studied it for a long time but couldn't find a perfect answer. Zhuo Qingfei's family of 3 was still in conflict. They didn't know that the original owner accidentally found out that he Xiaomi called Che Ruoqian's grave mother. This name was like a bolt from the blue to her. She didn't immediately rush out to ask why. Her intuition told her that it wasn't simple. So she heard with her own ears that he Xiaomi said a lot about Che Ruoqian. She heard he Xiaomi say that Che Ruoqian didn't recognize her and got into an accident. Was it her sudden appearance that made her angry and caused the accident? Su Qing comforted her. It wasn't he Xiaomi's fault. Che Ruoqian was careless. It was just an accident and had nothing to do with her. The original owner looked at the 2 of them. Her mind was in a mess. How could he Xiaomi be her mother's daughter? After the 2 of them left, she quickly went home. She wanted to tell Tang Tianxuo about this, but she was afraid that Tang Tianxuo would be hurt, so she didn't say anything. She accidentally flipped through the notebook where Che Ruoqian recorded her feelings. The original owner was confused. Then she remembered Zhuo Qingfei who came to find her. Before he left, he even left her a contact number, saying that if she had any difficulties in the future, she could look for him at any time. She dialed Zhuo Qingfei's number and said that she needed to meet him to discuss some matters. Since her mother had such a friend, perhaps the other party knew about her mother's past. Zhuo Qingfei didn't expect the original owner to find out about this. He Xiaomi was Che Ruoqian's daughter. If he didn't say it directly, he didn't know what the original owner would do. Therefore, he decided to tell her. Even if he didn't, he wouldn't hide the truth forever as Che Ruoqian imagined. The main reason why Zhuo Qingfei told the truth was that he didn't want Che Ruoqian's precious daughter to misunderstand him because of he Xiaomi. If she knew about this in the underworld, she would definitely feel terrible. After learning the truth, the original owner of the body couldn't stop her tears from falling. She couldn't stop them at all. She thought that her mother was hiding their past relationship, but she didn't expect it to be such a painful experience. Like to wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down, please collect, wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down, fight bar updates the fastest. Chapter 51-54. It was such a sad and tragic thing, but she had to bear it alone for so many years. She was too careless and didn't realize it. If she had realized it earlier, she wouldn't have lost her mother. She would have chosen to face it with her. No matter what people said, she would always stand by her mother's side, protect her, and love her. But there was no chance. After the sadness, the original owner turned all her hatred to the He family, including He Xiaomi. The He family had hurt her mother so much, but they could still live a good life. God was so unfair. And He Xiaomi, was she here to find her mother or to take revenge? She didn't know if He Xiaomi was pure or not. She only knew that He Xiaomi looked for Che Ruoqian to satisfy her own selfish desires. Since He Xiaomi knew what Che Ruoqian had gone through, as a woman, she should be able to understand the pain of those memories. Since He Xiaomi loved her mother so much, how could He Xiaomi bear to come to her and cut the scar on her heart with a knife? Too cruel. Her mother was such a beautiful person. In He Xiaomi's eyes, she was so strong, but in the end, she chose to end her life in such a way. God was so unfair. Why did a good person have to suffer such a fate, but those murderers were still living peacefully in this world and no one came to punish them? This was too cruel. It was so cruel to their family. The original owner didn't tell Tang Tianxuo the truth. Maybe she didn't realize that she was very similar to Che Ruoqian in this aspect. She first looked at He Dijin and old Madam He. These two were guilty. She didn't want to find out what happened in the past. She didn't want her mother to not be able to live peacefully after her death. So, she chose another way to make Hee-Jin unable to turn over a new leaf. She set a trap for Hee-Jin and let him fall into it. In the end, Hee-Jin became a rapist and old Madam He was an accomplice. Both of them were sent to prison. He Xiaomi asked Su Qing for help, but Su Qing couldn't do anything about it. After the verdict, the original owner looked at He Xiaomi again. She used to disdain using the entertainment industry's methods. But now, she used all the methods she could to target He Xiaomi. In the beginning, He Xiaomi was indeed targeted by her to the point that she almost got kicked out of the entertainment industry. There were all kinds of bad things about her, including endorsements and the role of the first female lead. The host snatched everything that she could. She would not let go of the murderer who had caused her mother's death. Whatever the other party wanted, she would snatch it all away and treat it like dust in front of the other party. During that time, He Xiaomi was a hot topic on the search list. However, there were some things that would cause problems once they were done. Often, they wouldn't be able to achieve the desired effect and would even cause a backlash. The original owner's eyes were filled with hatred and he couldn't see anything else. He went crazy. The wind gradually changed. Of course, all of this was inseparable from Su Qing's operation. He Xiaomi wasn't that bad. She didn't do anything bad. Those illusory black spots were actually untenable. They could be overturned with just a little bit of effort. When He Xiaomi made a comeback, it would be the day when the original owner's image would collapse. She would be the one who would be kicked out of the entertainment industry. Everyone thought that the original owner was jealous of He Xiaomi. She felt that He Xiaomi was in the way, so she targeted her. However, no one knew. The original owner wouldn't let anyone know why she was so crazy about He Xiaomi. She didn't have a mother anymore. So, she wouldn't allow that matter to be exposed. It would cause her mother to be talked about. Chapter 51-55. Her reputation in the entertainment industry was gone, so she left the industry and took over the family business. She thought that Tang Tianxua would blame her, but she didn't expect that Tang Tianxua already knew about it. So the father and daughter decided to work together to deal with Su Qing first, then He Xiaomi. However, they failed. Su Qing made the first move and set a trap for them. The two of them fell into his trap and lost miserably. Tang Tianxua's body couldn't take it anymore and he passed away soon. The host felt that the world was very lonely, but she didn't accomplish anything. She went to the extreme and planned to hit He Xiaomi with her car. She didn't succeed and followed in Che Ruoqian's footsteps. This was the host's story. After reading it, people felt very sad. They didn't know how to express their feelings. He Xiaomi was just an ordinary person. She wasn't good or bad, but she didn't know that she had driven someone to death. After the host died, she said sadly that they were biological sisters, so why did they have to kill each other? She would never understand why Che Ruoqian didn't acknowledge her and why the host hated her so much. Perhaps, she would only be able to understand after experiencing all of this. Sister Xiaogua, it's almost time. With the assistant's reminder, Tang Guo woke up. She looked at her watch. There were still 5 minutes left. She did have a performance tonight. It was a singing and dancing performance. With her memory, it wasn't difficult for her. She thought about it in her mind and felt that there was no problem. Thinking about the host's story, she felt a little regretful. If He Xiaomi didn't go to see Che Ruoqian and she came early, she could stop them from meeting and make He Xiaomi fail to find her mother. However, He Xiaomi had already seen Che Ruoqian once at this time. He Xiaomi was also a little famous because of that movie. This matter couldn't be hidden anymore. They would have to face it sooner or later. Hiding it forever was Che Ruotian's sore point. Now that He Xiaomi exposed the wound, they could only face it head-on. She wouldn't let Che Ruotian have another chance. The He family would also receive their retribution. As for He Xiaomi, she hadn't thought about it yet. Her mother wouldn't allow her to do anything out of line. For example, she would let He Xiaomi experience those things, right? The background of this era isn't good. System, host, take it easy. I know. Tang Guo frowned. She was in a bad mood. If this matter was exposed and she set up He Xiaomi to experience that kind of thing again, most people would associate it with the family Tang. It would not be good for them. He Xiaomi was not the He Xiaomi from the mountain village. She had Su Qing by her side. I'll think about it later. There must be a way. It was better for her to perform first. After the performance, she would hurry back to accompany her mother. Forget about the dinner party. That was not important. Even the assistant could tell that Tang Guo seemed to be very anxious. Sister Xiaoguo, do you have something urgent? Well, I don't know when it will be my turn. I have to go back to accompany my mother. We haven't seen each other for many days. Recently, she had been very busy with work and had neglected Che Ruotian's situation. It should be soon. Sister Xiaoguo's show is ranked third. For the first time, Tang Guo felt that the short period of time was very long. Taking advantage of this time, she greeted her friends in the group and told them about this world. When she was browsing the list of members, she glanced at Emmanuel's name. Suddenly, a light flashed in her mind. If He Xiaomi found her mother and Che Ruotian was not her mother in the end, and the matter was blown out of proportion, what would happen in the end? Her eyes flashed. It should be very interesting, right? Chapter 51-56. After 2 performances, it was finally Tang Guo's turn. She finished her performance according to her memory. Then, she said goodbye to the others and left in a hurry. Her home was in the city, so she soon arrived at the family Tang restaurant. When she got home, Tang Tianxuo and Che Ruotian were both there. They were watching TV in the living room. She could tell that they were very loving without getting close. When the two heard the sound, they both turned around and saw Tang Guo came back. Both of them were surprised. After all, they knew that Tang Guo had a show tonight. Maybe she would have a dinner after the recording, so she wouldn't be home until the early morning. They looked at the time. It was very early. They stood up and walked to Tang Guo. Che Ruotian asked first, Xiaoguo, don't you have a show recording today? So soon? Yes, I haven't been home for a long time. I missed it, so I came back after the recording, Tang Guo said as she changed her shoes. Che Ruotian was pleasantly surprised. She walked up to her and said, I left some delicious food for you. It's warm in the pot. There's also your favorite vegetable porridge. Go wash your hands and eat. Tang Guo nodded. She secretly observed Che Ruotian's expression. She was so good at hiding. She couldn't tell anything from her observation. The only thing she could tell was that Che Ruotian, who had been resting at home recently, dressed up beautifully every day. She paid more attention to her appearance than before. Maybe Che Ruotian had already expected what would happen in the future and had already prepared herself. That was to say, she had never thought of accepting He Xiaomi. She would rather die than let He Xiaomi and the He family ruin her happiness. Unfortunately, she came too late. The scar had been exposed. She could only stay with Che Ruotian and not use other means to cover it up. There was no such thing as an airtight wall. The more she tried to cover something up, the more people would be interested in it. In the end, Che Ruotian would be hurt more. Che Ruoqian was most afraid that her daughter and husband would not understand her and look at her differently. She was also afraid that her daughter and husband would be affected by public opinion. As long as she and her father stood firmly by Che Ruoqian's side, supported her, and accompanied her, she would definitely be able to get through this. It wasn't a shameful thing. She was a victim. What are you waiting for? Are you tired? Che Ruoqian asked with a smile. She touched Tangua's head and said, "Go wash your hands. Your dad asked the auntie to bring out the dishes. They will get cold soon." "Okay, Mom, I'll go now. I haven't seen you for a few days, and I feel that Mom is even more beautiful." Che Ruoqian was overjoyed. Her face was full of smiles. "I haven't seen you for a few days. You've learned how to flirt." There wasn't a single mother who wouldn't be happy to hear her daughter praise her for her good looks. Che Ruoqian was no exception. Seeing Tangguo walking towards the kitchen, Che Ruoqian thought to herself, how good would it be if she didn't have that experience? She had worked so hard to get to where she was today. Why did God not want to see her doing well? Why did he have to cruelly tear her scar open when she was at her happiest? How was she going to protect this family? She had the courage to escape back then and had the courage to start over. However, she already had something she cared more about. If the scar was torn open, she might have lost the courage. If it was torn open, there might be no possibility of recovery. She could only continue to bleed and inflame every day until that piece of flesh died. The top. Chapter 51-57. When she saw Tangguo walk out, Che Ruoqian quickly adjusted her mood. She sat beside Tangguo as usual and helped Tangguo peel fruits. Even though she had seen those memories, it was still better than experiencing it herself. Only when she experienced it did she realize how happy this family was. Che Ruoqian peeled a whole apple and then divided it into small pieces and placed them on the plate. Tang Tianxuo watched from the side. Seeing that Tangguo was still eating, he secretly reached out to grab a piece of apple. However, Che Ruoqian found out and slapped the back of his hand. Snatch, snatch. Che Ruoqian rolled her eyes at Tang Tianxuo. You want to steal your daughter's apple? Why are you so greedy? Tang Tianxuo smiled and retracted his hand. Although he didn't want to take it again, he looked at the plate of apples with envy. Che Ruoqian picked up another apple and peeled it. This scene made Tang Tianxuo's eyes light up. He looked at the empty plate with anticipation. When a small piece of apple fell on the plate, he quickly grabbed it and put it into his mouth. This time, Che Ruoqian didn't slap the back of his hand. I don't know why, but the apple in the afternoon wasn't as sweet as the one at night. Tang Tianxuo hugged the plate and said, Honey, you're so picky. They're both apples, but the taste is so different. Of course, Tangguo noticed the interaction between the two. She was a little hungry at first, but now she wasn't hungry at all. Such a happy family shouldn't be destroyed by others. You'll have to eat 20,000 less. Just treat it as a diet. Fate isn't something I can control. Yeah, I have some plans for now. Help me check if Yi Xiaomi went back to her hometown. Tangguo only ate a bowl of porridge and casually ordered some dishes. She wasn't really hungry. When she finished eating, another plate of apples was stuffed into her mouth. Tang Tianxuo even said that if she didn't want to eat and was on a diet, he could help her consume it. She wasn't willing to. He stuffed so much food into her mouth and even wanted to snatch her apple. Seeing Tang Tianxuo's disappointed expression, Tangguo felt a little better. She took the plate and went to watch TV. She was too lazy to pay attention to the two who were showing off their love. She sat silently at the side, thinking about how to proceed. If He Xiaomi had already returned to her hometown, the He family should be here soon. Since things had already developed to this point, she could no longer stop it. She could only wait for it to slowly ferment and then make her own preparations. They were chasing after Wen Yu. Before that, she had to have a showdown with Che Ruoqian. Only in this way could she and Tang Tianxua help Che Ruoqian, give her unlimited courage, and tell her that even if she had such a relationship, it would not affect her family. They would always stand by her side and would never leave her. Oh, okay. After finishing the apple, Tang Guo greeted the couple and went back to the bathroom to wash up. After washing up, she lay on the comfortable bed and closed her eyes. Her consciousness sank into the group and called Emmanuel's name. Poor Marguerite is looking at you, school bell. Chapter 51-58. Campus bell, I want to go to your world too. Unfortunately, I can't control it. Margaret, it's okay. Margaret is strong and has a long life. She can wait until the campus bell comes. Mo Yuntian, Margaret is strong. Qi Xiao, what a strong Margaret. Ziyun, Margaret is strong. Margaret, Emmanuel, campus bell, is there anything I can help you with? I've read the story of your world. Do you have any ideas? Campus bell, yes. I know that there are many genetic drugs in the galaxy. I want to ask if there are any drugs that can change the mother's genes. After using this drug, a person's genes will no longer be related to the mother. No matter how they test it, they won't be able to detect it. Do you understand what I mean? Emmanuel, yes, campus bell. This drug is quite mature in our world. Actually, this drug wasn't used to change a person's genes. It was used to make up for the genetic defects of the father or mother. As a result, the genes changed and the two would no longer be related. Campus bell, then give me one. You can choose what you want. Emmanuel, you're too polite. We didn't ask for less help. It's just a drug. I'll apply for that drug tomorrow. Only the mother's genes will be changed and the mother's genes will no longer be related, right? Campus bell, that's right. The kind that can't be identified. Emmanuel, if it's from a civilization more advanced than our galaxy, I can't guarantee this. But according to the campus bell, the civilization you're in now can't be identified. Their technology is too backward. They can't even detect the genetic changes, let alone identify them. Even if they develop for a few hundred years, it won't work. With Emmanuel's words, Tang Guo was completely relieved. She came up with this idea mainly because she wanted He Xiaomi and Che Ruoqian to have nothing to do with each other. There were too many moral saints in this world. As long as Che Ruoqian and He Xiaomi were mother and daughter, there would be a lot of moral saints criticizing them. No matter what, the child was innocent. It was Che Ruoqian's fault for not acknowledging the child. Tang Guo hated using the sentence, no matter what, you shouldn't have, on the victim. Che Ruoqian and He Xiaomi were no longer mother and daughter, so Che Ruoqian would only think that the child was dead. She and Tang Tianxua would definitely accompany Che Ruoqian and let her slowly walk out of her nightmare. Those saintly bitches outside would no longer use this kind of blood relationship to morally kidnap Che Ruoqian and criticize her. The next day, Tang Guo received the potion from Emmanuel. The medicine had to be injected to take effect. The time to change the genes was 1 month after the injection. No matter what, there was still time. After receiving the medicine, Tang Guo looked at her work schedule again. She was going to start filming after the new year. She had already signed the contract, but it was not good to break it so casually without a contract. Fortunately, the filming location was in the city, so she could go home when she was free, so it didn't affect her too much. This new year, the 3 members of the Tang family had a lively time. Tang Guo looked at Che Ruoqian's happy face. If she didn't know the truth, who would be able to smile that Che Ruoqian had such a big secret in her heart? She had already sorted out some information and planned to tell Tang Tianxua about it first. The Peak. Chapter 51-59. But how was she going to tell Tang Tianxua about this? She remembered that the original owner and Tang Tianxua teamed up, which meant that Tang Tianxua really loved Che Ruoqian. Tang Tianxua was the only one who could control the public opinion and the overall situation. If Che Ruoqian hadn't gone first, Tang Tianxua wouldn't have been in a good state. Plus, Su Qing was well prepared, so they wouldn't have lost. Everything was because they didn't seize the opportunity. Tang Tianxua didn't have a mental support and his body collapsed. It wasn't strange that he lost. Madam Host, why don't you use a pipe dream? Your parents are mild-mannered people. If your father knows about the past, he might only deal with the He family and ignore He Xiaomi and Su Qing. Because to an outsider, it's normal for He Xiaomi to look for her mother. No one expected this to happen. Tang Guo thought for a while and decided to follow the system's suggestion and use a pipe dream on Tang Tianxua. Also, she had to choose a perfect time. She would go to the company for a few days every month. At that time, Tang Tianxua would teach her about the company's matters. But that was her work schedule. Now that she was done with her work, she could go to the company whenever she wanted. She guessed that Tang Tianxua would take the initiative to ask her to go to the company. Sure enough, she only stayed at home for 3 days. On the 4th morning, Tang Tianxua asked her to go to the company. Tang Guo didn't refuse, but Che Ruoqian was a little reluctant. Mom, when you're better, you can go to the company with us. Tang Guo said. Che Ruoqian looked expectant. She seemed to have thought of something and shook her head. I'm not well yet. I don't think I can work. You guys can handle the company's matters. Che Ruoqian liked to work and enjoyed the feeling of being busy. But it was better for her to show up as little as possible so that she could guard this place for a longer time. If she showed up, what if she was discovered? In the car, Tang Tianxua was worried. Ruoqian's body doesn't seem to be well. She used to be very focused on her career. Before I met her, she suffered a lot. I heard from her employees that even if she had a high fever, she would take the drip in the office. Such a strong person can even put down her career. It means that she's not feeling well. The hospital didn't find anything wrong with him either. It's really worrying. Then Dad should spend more time with Mom. She must be lonely at home alone. Tang Guo said casually, but Tang Tianxua rolled his eyes at her. She was innocent. What was going on? If you can take over the company immediately, I'd be willing to spend more time with Ruoqian. I'd even be willing to stay by her side every day. Tang Guo didn't answer. Although she had the ability, she really didn't want to run such a big company by herself. When the time came, she really wouldn't have any freedom. Moreover, her parents were quite young. If she helped them recuperate every day, it wouldn't be a problem for them to work for another few decades. Dad, you're still so young. Are you going to retire? Why can't we join hands and guard the country together? That's half of your life's work. How can you be at ease if you don't look after it yourself? Mom's health will recover. Do you think it's better to retire at home or to show off your skills in the business world? Tang Tianxua couldn't deny it. Of course I want to do great things with Rosie, but if her body doesn't allow it, you should take over as soon as possible. You know, she's very lonely at home, Vertex. Chapter 51-60. When they arrived at the company, Tang Guo followed beside Tang Tianxua. The people in the company were used to it. When they were not so busy, some employees who were familiar with Tang Guo would even ask for her autograph. At noon, they did not choose to go back for lunch because they did not have much time. Instead, they had a staff meal before returning to the office. Snatch, snatch. Tang Tianxua's office was very big. Soon after lunch, it was time for his lunch break. Tang Guo took advantage of this time to pour a glass of water for Tang Tianxua. Inside the glass, she drank a golden millet dream. Dad, drink some water and rest for a while. I looked at your schedule. You will be busy in the afternoon. I think you will only be home at 9:00 today. Tang Tianxua happily took the glass of water. You are the best. You know that Dad is thirsty. System, Tang Tianxua drank the water and planned to rest for a while. He even asked Tang Guo if she wanted to rest for a while. There were 2 resting rooms. Tang Guo shook her head. Let me look at the rest of the documents. I will go through them first. It will be faster for you to deal with them later. Okay, go ahead. If you are tired, take a nap. Don't force yourself. Ding 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 ding. Tang Tianxua only felt very sleepy. He thought that it was because he was very busy in the company recently and was very tired physically and mentally. As soon as his head touched the pillow, he fell into a dream. Tang Guo quickly went through the documents outside. She calculated the time. When Tang Tianxua was about to wake up, she also fell asleep beside him. About 5 minutes later, she heard the door of the resting room being pushed open. Tang Tianxua's soft footsteps sounded in her ears. She could feel Tang Tianxua looking at her. He even sighed. Then, he walked to the side and sat down. Perhaps Tang Tianxua was a little confused. He was still thinking about whether the dream was real or not. However, the reality told him that the dream should be real. If it was real, then was the ending in the dream really the ending of their family? If so, it was really too cruel. It was really cruel to him, his daughter, and especially to Ruoqin. Could he change all of this? Let the ending in the dream not happen? However, after thinking about it, this matter would be exposed no matter what. It was impossible to hide it. The young man, Su Qing, was not simple. He knew the truth. Therefore, even if he used some extreme methods, he wouldn't be able to cover up everything. He might even go down the wrong path that would break his family apart. Tang Tianxua didn't smoke much. He wanted to light a cigarette, but when he found it, he saw Tang Guo sleeping on her stomach. In the end, he threw the cigarette and lighter into the trash can. At this time, Tang Guo woke up. She slowly raised her head, and Tang Tianxua immediately noticed. When he saw Tang Guo, he was stunned. Dad, I just had a dream. The scene inside was too scary. Hearing Tang Guo's voice, Tang Tianxua threw the phone in his hand to the ground. He stood there in a daze, not knowing what to do. I told myself that this was a dream, but reality told me that this was not a dream. This was something that could happen. Tang Tianxua's originally calm mood was once again in turmoil, and he could not control his expression at all. His eyes turned red. I also had a dream. The things in it didn't seem fake. Everything in it was infuriating. Dad, what did you dream of? I dreamed that Mom was driving outside and fell into an ice lake. Later, I found out that it wasn't an accident. There was also a person called He Xiaomi. Tang Tianxua rushed to Tang Guo and held her shoulders. Dad also had the same dream. Tang Guo saw the water dripping from the desk. She looked up and realized that Tang Tianxua was crying. Chapter 5161. Because of this accident, Tang Tianxua postponed all the arrangements in the afternoon. He sat in the office with Tang Guo and faced the dream that they had experienced together. So Xiao Guo also failed in the end. Tang Tianxua was furious when he thought of the scene in the dream. In that dream, he regretted it countless times. If he had been more careful, perhaps Che Ruoqian would not have gone to such a dead end. He believed that as long as he stayed by Che Ruoqian's side, he would be able to give her the courage to continue living and face everything. Snatch, snatch. Yes, I'm useless. I didn't succeed. Tang Tianxua sighed. How can I blame you? Su Qing is one of the few outstanding talents in the younger generation. They have the upper hand. It's normal that you can't deal with him. Even I, your father, was defeated by him. In the dream, ever since Che Ruoqian passed away, he lost all his energy and his body gradually collapsed. He even struggled to deal with the company's affairs. When he found out the truth later, he was powerless to do anything. He lost the upper hand. 1 defeat, 2 defeats. His chances of winning were getting smaller and smaller. The He family's mother and son harmed Che Ruoqian. More than 20 years later, He Xiaomi came to expose the scars again. Su Qing was an accomplice. Since it was a coincidence that the father and daughter knew what was going to happen, Tang Tianxua would never let history repeat itself. He Xiaomi has already seen Mom once. She most likely went back to her hometown. She might bring the He family's mother and son to see Mom soon. Dad, this matter can't be hidden anymore. We can't cover it up either. No matter what we do, it won't work. The more we cover it up, the more problems there will be. This matter is a scar to Mom. It's a pain. She's a victim. Since it will come out sooner or later, we can only wait for it to come out. Tang Tianxua actually did not agree with this. It was too cruel to let things fester like this. Ruoqian had always been so good to him. He also thought that if he did well enough, she would be happy. He was really irresponsible. He did not realize such a big thing. In their life, Ruoqian had shown so many differences. Why didn't he pay more attention to it? Tang Tianxua thought about it again. If he really pursued the matter, wouldn't he be hurting her as well? It was clear that no matter what he did, he couldn't do it right. Xiaoguo, you don't know those people out there. Even if Ruoqian is a victim, He Xiaomi is still her biological daughter. Those people who can just stand there and talk will definitely say nasty things. I'm afraid that she won't be able to bear the pressure then. I didn't care about what the others said, but I was afraid that Rosie wouldn't be able to make it. She looked like a very strong person, but she was holding on to her last breath. She has been keeping this a secret for so many years. You can see how much she can't let go of this matter. Tang Tianxua's face was filled with worry. When those people talk about it, who knows how sad Ruoqian will be. She had clearly suffered all kinds of grievances and suffering, but the people outside scolded her for being heartless. Sometimes, when he thought about it, there were quite a lot of things like this. He was clearly the victim, but he still had to suffer endless accusations. Especially with our status, most people will say that Ruoqian is so rich, so why did she let her daughter suffer in the mountain village? Thinking of this makes people angry, but they can't do anything about it. Tang Guan knew that Tang Tianxua was right. This was also the reason why she chose to ask Emmanuel for the gene-altering drug. I'm gnawing on the bookshelf. Chapter 5162. Only by completely severing the blood relationship between He Xiaomi and her mother could this situation be changed. Dad, actually, in my dream, after you left, I worked on a project with someone. It was about genetic modification. At that time, I was about to lose. That person has an underground laboratory, and his research project reminded me of Mom. If there is really a drug that can change genes and make Mom and he Xiaomi have nothing to do with each other, will it solve all the problems? Grasping, Tang Tianxua was stunned for a moment before he asked anxiously, was it successful? Dad, that person had invested everything he had and the drug was almost finished. He was just short of a sum of money. Later, with my investment, he succeeded very quickly. It didn't take long. I plan to look for him. Maybe he can develop the drug in advance. What do you think? Tang Tianxua certainly wouldn't reject such a good thing. He slammed his palms on the table. Okay, go look for him. He doesn't need any money. I'll give it to him. Even if he wants our company, it's fine. Tang Tianxua was already imagining what would happen if he really got the drug and injected it into He Xiaomi. Then, He Xiaomi and Che Ruoqian would do a DNA test and prove that they weren't mother and child. Then, those rumors wouldn't hurt Che Ruoqian anymore. They could also secretly tell Ruoqian that maybe the child had died in an accident and this He Xiaomi was just another child. Wasn't it normal for something like this to happen in that man-eating mountain village? After thinking it through, Tang Tianxua couldn't wait for Tang Gua to find that person immediately. He wanted the gene modification drug to appear at all costs. There were countless Frankenstein in this world. Tang Tianxua didn't doubt this at all. After all, this was his only hope. Moreover, his biological daughter didn't have to lie to him. Zhang Jiu read it. That day, the father and daughter returned home. They didn't show any signs of strangeness, but subconsciously, they started to pay more attention to Che Ruoqian. Every day, Tang Tianxua would ask Tang Gua if the Frankenstein had been found. On the third day, Tang Gua told Tang Tianxua that there was news. He's on an island in a small country. He's really short on funds. I've already sent him the money. Tang Tianxua took out a card and gave it to Tang Gua, telling her not to save. Tang Gua did not refuse. She had to make Tang Tianxua feel at ease at this moment. After finding him, Tang Tianxua found out that he was continuing his research on the drug. Tang Tianxua asked about the progress of the drug every day. Dad, you don't have to worry. In fact, he has already experimented thousands of times. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so short on funds. Now that we've filled in the past, it's enough for them to give us a perfect potion. Tang Tianxua nodded. Good, that's good. Dad, just focus on your work. Leave the rest to me. Okay, I know you know what to do. By the way, I've set up a public relations team in your name. I spend a lot of money on the people inside, Tang Tianxua said. When the time comes, only we can control the public opinion. When this matter is over, this public relations team will be yours. The leader of that team is coming to the office in a while. You guys should get to know each other. This young man is very good at manipulating public opinion. Chapter 5163. Don't look down on him. He's a serious journalism major. Many people have asked him to do this before. But he doesn't want to work for those celebrities. Speaking of which, it's all thanks to you that he's able to join us this time. Tang Gua was a little surprised. Me? That's right. He agreed because he felt that you don't have much to do, and there won't be any real black marks. Speaking of which, this young man doesn't seem to like some of the actions in that circle. Don't let him spread rumors about you doing bad things. If he doesn't have a good impression of you, he'll reject the job. It's rare to see someone with such integrity in the media. Tang Gua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Who am I spreading rumors about? That's true. You're my daughter, Tang Tianxua. Who would you spread rumors about? Only others would spread rumors about you. Tang Tianxua was silent for a while before saying, actually, I asked that young man to come over today because I wanted to tell him about Ruoxin. It'll be a wake-up call in advance so that it won't be so troublesome for him to deal with. Is this person trustworthy? Tang Gua didn't expect that Tang Tianxua would trust this young man so much. Who was he? This person is trustworthy. I said before that he's a person with integrity, but he's not very popular in the industry. After all, he often does things that slap people in the face. It's said that because he offended many people, people sent him threatening letters. There's even a bloody handprint on the door, cursing him to die a horrible death. When Tang Gua heard that, she felt that this person was quite impressive. To put it bluntly, some of his actions hurt the interests of many people. Originally, he had a proper unit, but he was fired countless times by a few units. Not many units dared to hire him, although they were envious. Before they found him, he was a freelance media person with no fixed residence. It's said that this is for safety. When Tang Tianxua said this, Tang Gua understood. That person probably liked to expose the unspoken rules in various circles, so that some people couldn't take advantage of the loopholes and lost a lot of benefits. That was why people hated him so much. Then he was quite impressive to be able to live so well. He had some skills. Actually, you should know him. He's very popular on the internet. He has many fans who like to read his news. Very popular, has a lot of fans, and likes to break news. She searched through her memories and indeed found such an existence. This person was not exposing the entertainment industry, but other places. For example, if there was a problem with the food of a certain large food company, or a certain training institution, it was obviously an IQ tax to cheat parents of their money. If it was this person, he did have a lot of fans, young, old, and young. In the original world, this person had also appeared, but he had never shown his face and had only been mentioned twice. This man was Zhuo Qingfei's son, Zhuo Yi. At that time, Che Ruoqian's matter had not been exposed, so Zhuo Yi naturally did not have the opportunity to display his skills. However, after the original owner set up a trap for the He family's mother and son, Zhuo Yi also appeared. She read an article written by the other party about the sins of the He family's village. At that time, it caused a big reaction. It was also because of the public opinion created by this article that the He family's case was quickly heard. This meant that this person was indeed using his life to do this. He was not afraid of death. Chapter 51-64. The father and son of the Zhuo family were both adventurous and righteous. When it was close to noon, Tang Gua met the person that Tang Tianxua had mentioned. Tang Gua sized up the person in front of her. He was wearing casual clothes and a hat. He had long hair that could not hide his handsome face. Hello, Zhuo Yi. Zhuo Yi introduced himself first, then extended his hand to Tang Tianxua. After they shook hands, he greeted Tang Gua. Hello, Miss Tang. At first, Zhuo Yi thought that Tang Tianxua had invited him because he wanted him to do public relations for Tang Gua. After so many years, he was used to employers firing him out of fear. However, there were some people who were not afraid of threats, but those people were not clean themselves. He did not want to get into trouble. Especially in the entertainment industry, which was more complicated, he said that he would not get involved. The reason why he was here was indeed related to Tang Gua. Because he knew that Tang Gua should be considered as someone who did not have any black marks in the entertainment industry. She was someone who would go back to inherit her family's fortune after she stopped acting. She usually did not have much trouble. Being her public relations, he should not be pulled into doing bad things. He was also very satisfied with the remuneration that Tang Tianxua gave him, so he came. When it came to following Tanggua's dramas, he had not watched a single one. He could not finish reading all the news and stories every day. He did not have the time. He was not interested in celebrities or rich people. However, she was already his employer. He felt that perhaps he should catch up on his employer's dramas so that he could understand more about her. 2 days ago, he had caught up on 2 dramas. Her acting was really good. To be honest, he was not very interested. He thought that he could catch up on a few more dramas, but in the end, he only watched 2. He really did not have the patience to continue watching. However, when he saw Tanggua for the first time today, he wondered if there was something wrong with his eyes. When he saw her in person, she was still very attractive. Why could he not watch the dramas? It was either that her acting was not good, or it was hard to interest him. Shui touched his chin and narrowed his eyes slightly as he sized up Tanggua. It was as if he wanted to see something on her face. The person in front of him was obviously more attractive than in person. She was very stunning and gave people the feeling that they wanted to get close to her. Was it because of the camera? Sure enough, the naked eye was still better. She didn't know if the production team was very poor, but they actually filmed the actors with such poor standards. Tanggua didn't know what Shui was thinking. She made a cup of coffee and handed it to Shui. Brother Yi, you've been staring at me. What do you think? Tanggua called him Brother Yi because everyone called him that, especially his fans. No. Shui answered calmly. He took the coffee and took a sip. He was someone who had seen all kinds of big scenes. Even if the person in front of him was not ordinary, he was not afraid at all. I just feel that you are a little different from how you look on camera. Tanggua sat at the side and asked curiously, how is it different? At this moment, Tang Tianxua still had something to do. Tanggua was chatting with Shui in the lounge. When Tang Tianxua was done, they would go for dinner together. To be honest, I've never watched any of your dramas before. That's normal. I heard from Dad that Brother Yi is a busy man. Of course, he doesn't have time to watch TV. Shui was confused. Was this the combination of a big star and a rich family's daughter? They seemed to be very down to earth. Is there something wrong with my acting? Tanggua continued to ask. Brother Yi, if you feel that there's something wrong, you can point it out. Chapter 5165. Not really. I'm not good at this. Then what is it that makes Brother Yi keep staring at me? I don't think it's because of my appearance. Shui's hands trembled. That wasn't right. He was the one who should be asking questions. How did she become the one who was trying to get information out of him? All the initiative had fallen into the hands of the other party. He looked at Tanggua's face in a daze and said, let's not talk about other things. This time, it might really be because of your face. You look better than you do on screen. Was your crew very poor at the time? Didn't you think of investing in it? You can make money and film. Can you improve the conditions of the crew? Tanggua didn't know how to answer Shui's question. But she still understood that Shui felt that there was a difference between the current her and the one in the drama. Maybe there are some differences between the camera and the real person. Also, the character is very different from the person. Shui nodded and decided not to delve into this. He didn't want to annoy his employer. That's true. It wasn't easy to get a formal job. His parents should be very happy. Finally, there was an employer who was willing to hire him. This should be the first good news after the new year. At noon, Tang Tianxua finally finished his work and invited Zhuai Yi for lunch. Zhuai Yi felt that Tang Tianxua should have something to tell him. But he didn't expect that Tang Tianxua would tell him something so infuriating. My wife doesn't know that I know about this yet, but I know that day will come sooner or later. This time, I invited you mainly to prepare for it so that when the storm comes, I won't panic too much. You know that there are many people who don't know what to say. If I knew this news in advance, no matter what, I would find a way to cover it up. But it's too late now. He Xiaomi is now a famous star. Su Qing is not only a famous director in the industry, but his background is not simple. I'm not afraid that you will dislike it. If it hadn't reached that point, maybe I would have used some extreme methods to cover it up. But God doesn't seem to give me this chance. Zhuai Yi looked at the father and daughter in front of him. Both of them looked very serious. He could understand Tang Tianxua's thoughts and could even feel the other party's helplessness, the helplessness of being unable to change what had happened in the past. Because this wasn't the first time he had such a feeling. There were too many unfair things in this world. If no one cared, those grievances and tragedies would disappear along with that person's death, never to be known by anyone again. I'll try my best to turn public opinion to Mrs. Tang's side, Zhuai Yi said. Tang Tianxua nodded. That's good. In fact, as long as the gene-altering drug was successful, they would win for sure. He looked for Zhuai Yi because he was afraid that if the medicine didn't work, it would depend on Zhuai Yi's personal ability. This is my mother, He Xiaomi, and all the information about the He family village. Everything I can find is here. Tang Gua handed a thick file to Zhuai Yi. Zhuai Yi was not in the mood to eat, so he opened it and read. When he saw Che Ruoqian's information, he was amazed by their trust in him. There was also an indescribable feeling in his heart. This kind of unconditional trust made him want to do this well. Tang Tianxua was puzzled. Xiao Gua said that he would give him the information after a while. Why did he give it to Zhuai Yi as soon as they met today? Chapter 5166. When Zhuai Yi finished reading all of Che Ruoqian's information, he was a little confused because he seemed to have seen Che Ruoqian's experience somewhere before. He couldn't remember for a while, so he planned to take the information home and slowly study it. When he got home, he received a call from his parents. Of course, he was scolded. After the scolding, he was cared for and told to be careful and pay attention to his safety. Mom, I have an official job. Zhuai Yi couldn't wait to share the good news. The company is quite big. The boss is very generous and he's a good person. Mother Zhuo was a little surprised. Which boss is bold enough to hire you? Son, are you forced into a corner and want to go against your conscience to make money? You better not do that. If you do, your dad won't forgive you and I won't acknowledge you. Zhuo Qingfei's mother was on speakerphone. Zhuo Qingfei was drinking tea, but when he heard the conversation between the mother and son, he focused his attention and walked over to Zhuo Qingfei's mother. He whispered, "This kid probably won't. If he dares, I'll break his legs." Zhuai Yi, Mom, Dad, what are you thinking? How could I eat human blood? It's really different this time. The boss is quite nice. Then, Zhuai Yi told them that Tang Tianxua was his boss. Unexpectedly, when the Zhuo couple heard Tang Tianxua's name, they fell silent and didn't ask any more questions. After about a minute, Zhuo Qingfei said, "Since it's Tang Tianxua, then there's no problem." "Yes, he's a good person. Son, since he hired you, you have to do a good job. Don't mess around, okay?" Mother Zhuo reminded. Her son was capable, but he was too stubborn and always did things that offended people. It wasn't that there weren't people who didn't appreciate her son, but surviving in this world involved a lot of things. Many people had all kinds of concerns, so naturally, they didn't dare to interact with her son. She knew that Jue would be very lonely most of the time when he did those things. Even if there were many people who did it with him, in the end, there would be people who would quit for various reasons. Those with a weak heart wouldn't be able to do these things. As a member of the media, it was impossible for Jue to not notice the Zhuo couple's behavior. He also did not reveal anything about the family Tang incident. This information was not simple. Even if it was his own parents, he could not casually reveal it. He only said that he might be very busy in a while and would not have time to see them for the time being. The Zhuo couple didn't ask much about Jue's work. They didn't even ask Tang Tianxua. Whatever they could find out on the surface, they could easily find out. If they couldn't find out, then it was the other party's privacy. Their son was already the other party's public relations, so they definitely couldn't just casually ask around. Mom, that Miss Tang is a little different from the one in the TV series. Jue and his wife from the Zhuo family looked at each other. Didn't their old sago tree hate talking about people from the entertainment industry the most? Furthermore, he wasn't interested in the gossip at all. Otherwise, with their son's talent, he would have been able to make a living in the entertainment industry. Mrs. Zhuo, what's the difference? She's so different from how she looks on TV. I don't think she's photogenic. Perhaps it's because of the role he's playing, but it's a little different from the real person. Mrs. Zhuo said, "You're so observant." Chapter 5167. Mom, what are you talking about? I remember that you used to like watching her dramas, right? I'm just reminding you that you're a fan of mine. Didn't you used to nag me about how good this actress was? Mrs. Zhuo was confused. Did I? Yes, it happens all the time. Mrs. Zhuo looked at Zhuo Qingfei. Seeing Zhuo Qingfei nod, she remembered that it was true. She fell silent. Half of the reason why she watched Tanggua's dramas was because she would occasionally pay attention to Qin Ruoqin. Although they hadn't contacted each other much in recent years, they would still contact each other a few times a year. Especially when something big happened to Che Ruoqin, she would tell the Zhuo couple about it via email. For example, Che Ruoqin would tell the Zhuo couple when she gave birth to a daughter and when Tanggua entered the entertainment industry. When Mrs. Zhuo knew about it, she would definitely check it out. When she found that Tanggua's dramas were good, she naturally watched them more. She was genuinely happy that Che Ruoqin was so happy now. Thinking back to the first time she saw Che Ruoqin, she didn't even look human. She didn't know what kind of destruction Che Ruoqin had suffered. Seeing the person who had fallen into the abyss living such a happy life with his own eyes was a very joyous thing in itself. After hanging up the phone with Jue, the Zhuo couple sat on the sofa and didn't say anything for a while. They both thought about Che Ruoqin. Have you contacted Ruoqin recently? Mrs. Zhuo suddenly asked. Tang Tianxua actually asked our son to do something. Is there something wrong with their company? Zhuo Qingfei said, why don't we send her an email right away? Sure, let's ask her how she's been recently. The couple were both action-oriented. They immediately went to the study and wrote an email to Che Ruoqin. Che Ruoqin only saw the email from the couple the next day. Although the words were short, tears welled up in her eyes. Fortunately, she was the only one in the room. If someone saw her, they would definitely ask her what was wrong. She sat in front of the computer and cried, but her hands kept tapping on the keyboard, writing down sentences that said she was fine. The two of them had already helped her a lot. They couldn't help her much in this matter. She didn't want to add more trouble to them. Now, she just wanted to keep this a secret. What do you think? When the Zhuo couple saw Che Ruoqin's reply, they couldn't help but frown. Even though the words seemed normal, they still felt that something was amiss. Then, they compared all of Che Ruotian's previous replies and found that Che Ruotian was lying. It feels like it's settled, but I just received news that there's nothing wrong with their company. Everything is going well, Zhuo Qingfei said. Could it be that there's something wrong with their relationship? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Mrs. Zhuo shook her head quickly. If there really was a problem with her relationship, Ruotian would definitely not hide it. She would definitely tell you. Why don't we take some time to go and take a look? While we're at it, we can also visit our son. He hadn't shown his face for so many years. That incident should have been left in his memory, right? However, I'm still a little worried about going to take a look. I'm also worried. Rosie's reply this time was too concise, as if she was deliberately hiding something. I'm really worried that something might have happened to her. Mrs. Zhuo gave Zhuo Qingfei a push. Hurry up and book the tickets. Do I have to do all these things? Chapter 5168. Okay, I'll go right away. Seriously, I'm being bullied as soon as I come back. Say it again, honey, I'm going to book the tickets. What did you say? Tang Guo didn't know what happened in the Zhuo family. She went to the company with Tang Tianxua every day and spent time with Che Ruotian at home. She could actually feel Che Ruotian's fear from the laughter of the family. Tang Tianxua also felt bad for her, so he didn't have the heart to expose her immediately. He believed that he could protect Che Ruotian until the end. Tang Guo was going to film, so she couldn't go to the company every day. At most, she would come back to accompany Che Ruotian after filming every day. She was afraid that Che Ruotian would be alone at home, so she suggested that Che Ruotian visit her. Che Ruotian really wanted to go, but she was afraid when she remembered that Xiaomi was also in that circle. Tang Guo saw this and didn't force her. Che Ruotian's careful look really made her heart ache. Che Ruotian didn't expect that Zhuo Qingfei and his wife would come to visit her 2 days later. Family Tang was there at that time, so Tang Tianxua knew who they were and how they were related to Che Ruotian. But he could only pretend that it was the first time they met. Che Ruotian was afraid that Tang Tianxua would ask her how she knew them. Later, she realized that Tang Tianxua didn't ask much. He even smiled and said, "Since we know each other, we should keep in touch more in the future." Tang Tianxua took out the best wine and tea to entertain them. Che Ruotian didn't expect him to value her friends so much. Her heart ached when she thought about what might happen. Zhuo Qingfei and his wife weren't ignorant. They knew that Tang Tianxua's wine was very expensive. A bottle of wine that cost hundreds of thousands was treated to them like this. The tea was also very difficult to buy. Almost all of them were treasured. Zhuo Qingfei and his wife were confused. It shouldn't be like this. There was definitely something wrong, but they couldn't find out what it was. Why did Tang Tianxua value them so much? They didn't have anything to do with family Tang. The only person they would be involved with was Che Ruotian. The couple did not tell anyone about Che Ruotian's matter. However, the way Tang Tianxua looked at them inadvertently revealed a bit of gratitude, which made them feel more and more that this matter was related to Che Ruotian. Tang Tianxua did this on purpose. He hoped that when the matter was exposed in the future, the couple would help Che Ruotian again. No matter what, the two of them were witnesses. Hopefully, they could speak up for Che Ruotian. Because he didn't want to talk about it with Che Ruotian now, he could only hint to the couple. "There's a young man in my company called Zhuo Yi. Just now, I felt that he was somewhat similar to the two of you. I wonder if you two are related." Tang Tianxua gave such an obvious hint that the couple understood something this time. They all smiled and nodded, acknowledging that Zhuai was their son. So that's how it is. I was wondering how it could be so coincidental. Under Tang Tianshuo's plan, he successfully included the two of them in his circle of friends and talked to them on time. Mother Zhuo stayed at home to chat with Che Ruoqian while Zhuo Qingfei followed Tang Tianshua to see Zhuai. After that, everything went smoothly. Chapter 5169. After knowing Tang Tianshua's purpose, Zhuo Qingfei was very emotional. He promised that he would do whatever he needed. I didn't expect that girl to come here. I can imagine how big of a blow it will be to Ruoqian if this matter is exposed. Tang Tianshua's eyes reddened. Brother Zhuo, can you tell me more about Ruoqian's past? Sometimes, I'm really afraid that mentioning it will hurt her, so I don't dare to know more. Zhuo Qingfei and his wife didn't plan to leave the city immediately. He also temporarily cancelled his trip 3 months later. He planned to solve Che Ruoqian's problem before leaving. With the Zhuo couple accompanying Che Ruoqian, Tang Guo was really relieved. These two were undoubtedly Che Ruoqian's salvation. She asked the system to keep an eye on He Xiaomi's movements. After knowing that He Xiaomi's family's identity and that she had logged into the ticketing network, she told Tang Tianshua that the medicine was successful. Now, she just needed to find a chance to give it to He Xiaomi. She could do it herself. It was very simple. As long as she met He Xiaomi, she could do it in less than a minute. Compared to other people, it was easier for her to get close to He Xiaomi. She just needed to go to the same audition as He Xiaomi. At this time, Tang Guo was driving down the mountain from the villa on the mountain. Today's scene was on the mountain. As long as she could go home, she would go home immediately after the filming. Basically, she didn't delay anything. Everyone was used to her rhythm and didn't say much. The sky was gradually getting dark. Halfway down the road, she saw someone holding a phone and turning on the car lights. He seemed to be waving at her. She slowed down the car and drove over slowly. Then, she saw that the person was actually Zhuai. She parked the car by the side and got out. She saw Zhuai sweating profusely and smiling at her. Miss Tang, thank goodness you're here. Otherwise, I would have to wait for a few hours for someone to come and deal with this place. Tang Guo looked at Zhuai, who was a little embarrassed. Then, she looked at his car and saw that his car was sprayed with all kinds of paint. All 4 of his tires seemed to have been punctured. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. However, when she saw the words on the spray paint, she felt a little uncomfortable. It was hard to imagine what kind of person would write such vicious words. Get in the car first. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Zhuai followed Tang Guo into the car. Sorry about that. Actually, this kind of thing happens all the time. That's all they can do. Then you'd better be careful. What if there really is a fugitive who wants your life? Look at this wilderness. Even if I kill you and dump your corpse, it will take a long time for someone to find it. Even if I die, they won't be able to escape responsibility. I'm prepared for this. Zhuai said with a smile. Tang Guo didn't ask where Zhui's house was. She directly pulled him back to her house. Anyway, his parents were at her house. It was good to have a family together. After Zhuai followed Tang Guo back to the family Tang, the two couples behaved differently. Tang Tianshua and Che Ruoqian were very surprised. The Zhuo couple reminded him to be careful next time and not go to those remote places alone. If he wanted to go, he should bring a few more people. It was too dangerous to go alone. From the looks of it, they knew that Zhuai often experienced these things. Zhuai even joked, I feel like my family has also fallen. It's all because of the people we offended before. Chapter 5170. Peaceful and warm days always passed so quickly. He Xiaomi came back with He Dijin and old Madam He. As soon as the mother and son entered the bustling city, they were mesmerized by it. Looking at the bright lights, they wished they had more eyes. As soon as they moved into He Xiaomi's house, they couldn't wait to ask where Che Ruoqin was. That woman is too cruel. She abandoned you not long after you were born. It wasn't easy for us to raise you. You went to her and let her pick up a ready-made daughter, but she was unwilling and refused to acknowledge you. Old Madam, he said, I must find her and make it clear. It's fine if she despises us for being poor, but she doesn't even acknowledge her own daughter. If she isn't a beast, then what is? That's right. Our family didn't give her enough food and clothes before. What else is she dissatisfied with? She ran away without saying a word and left Xiaomi, who was only a few months old. That woman is too cruel. The mother and son knew that if they didn't handle the abduction, they would go to jail. Naturally, they avoided this problem. The question was that Che Ruoqin despised them for being poor and heartlessly abandoned their daughter. Anyway, they moved from their original place to the foot of the mountain. Now, they didn't buy a wife like before. Actually, in their eyes, those people were too nosy. Why couldn't they buy a wife when they paid for it? At that time, the matter was blown out of proportion. Many people in the village spent money and their wife was taken away. They suffered a great loss. All these years, the He family didn't have a son. Obviously, Che Ruoqin ran away and took away their male luck. They wanted Che Ruoqin to give an explanation. Not only did they want her to acknowledge He Xiaomi, but they also wanted her to compensate for the loss. They knew that as long as they had a lot of money, many women would be willing to marry into the He family and give birth to grandchildren for the He family. As long as they had money, they could just divorce and marry another one. He Xiaomi didn't know what they were thinking, but she agreed that Che Ruoqin was too cruel. Even if she had no choice, she was already an adult. It wasn't that she wanted Che Ruoqin to do anything. She just wanted a mother. It was such a small wish, but she wasn't willing to fulfill it. She really didn't expect to stay by Che Ruoqin's side forever. As long as Che Ruoqin was willing to acknowledge her, it was enough. She would not join their family, nor would she destroy anything, nor would she compete with Tangguo for favor. It was really because she didn't have a mother since she was young, so she wanted to have a mother to call her. Che Ruoqin's cold look really made her feel bitterly disappointed. On the third day after the He family's mother and son arrived in the city, He Xiaomi brought them to meet Che Ruoqin. All of this was within Tangguo's expectations. This time, it was different from before. Her family, including Zhuo Qingfei, was there. She and Tang Tianxua had considered that if Che Ruoqin were to meet them alone, she would definitely be helpless. As a family, Che Ruoqin would still be very sad, but they would make their stand clear and stand by her side. This day would come sooner or later. They couldn't keep avoiding this matter. So, that day, Tangguo gave the crew a heads up. Tang Tianxua also said that he was not feeling well and needed to rest at home for a day. Zhuo Qingfei and his wife were staying with them. Their house was big anyway, so it didn't matter if 2 more people stayed. Tang Tianxua said that he had many things to ask Zhuo Qingfei, so they naturally stayed and didn't arouse Che Ruoqin's suspicion. He Xiaomi and the other 2 came in the afternoon. Even the helper, Tangguo, asked her to inform her directly if anyone came. After getting Tangguo's permission, the helper let He Xiaomi and the other 2 in. Chapter 5171. He Xiaomi came in with He Dijin and old Madam He. This time, Su Qing didn't come with them. He Xiaomi didn't mention Su Qing to them for the time being. It should be said that he Xiaomi didn't have time to contact Su Qing when they returned to the city. Tang Guo was the closest to the door. When the servant came in and saw her, he naturally greeted her, "Miss, he has been invited in." "Okay." Tang Guo nodded. Her gaze fell on He Xiaomi and the He family's mother and son, sizing them up one by one. The three of them were nervous under Tang Guo's gaze, especially the He Dijin and He Dijin. They felt as if they were pricked by a needle. They soon remembered their purpose and straightened their backs. This time, they were here to support He Xiaomi. "Miss He." In the end, Tang Guo greeted He Xiaomi first. "May I know why you suddenly came here today?" He Xiaomi was almost speechless by the question. It was clearly a very ordinary and plain sentence, but she actually felt a little guilty after being asked that. But why did she feel guilty? She looked at the person who had the same mother as her carefully. The person in front of her, who was shining brightly both on the screen and in private, was actually her younger sister. She really envied He Xiaomi. She could grow up with her biological mother. Looking at her fair and tender face that was like a freshly peeled egg white, he knew that she had never experienced the scorching sun before. Her slender and beautiful fingers obviously didn't work. She had been pampered since she was a child. Why were their fates so different even though they had the same mother? She didn't want to compare. She just wanted to be like other people. She wanted her biological mother's love. She just needed a little bit. "I'm not here for you today. I'm here for Miss Che." He Xiaomi remembered Che Ruoqian's indifference to her last time. She even looked a little hostile. She felt sad and angry. They were both daughters. Why did Che Ruoqian treat her with different attitudes? Is that so? Have a seat. She will come out soon. Tang Guo asked them to sit down. They didn't stand on ceremony and sat in the living room to wait. When the three of them arrived, Che Ruoqian happened to say that she needed to go to the bathroom. They waited for about 2 minutes before they heard some movement upstairs. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. Che Ruoqian did not notice that there were 3 more people in the living room. When she got closer, she felt that something was different. She asked subconsciously, "Xiao Guo, are there guests at home? Who's going to?" Che Ruoqian stopped abruptly when she saw He Xiaomi. Che Ruoqian didn't take another step forward. Her face turned pale, and her smile froze. She stood there in a daze, not knowing how to react for a moment. Che Ruoqian's head was buzzing, and all the sounds from the outside world seemed unable to reach her ears. Not only did she see He Xiaomi, but she also saw the 2 people who had given her nightmares for days. Her vision turned black, and she almost fainted. Tang Tianxua was already prepared and went over to support her. Che Ruoqian really wanted to escape from this place, but she couldn't move her feet. They were already here, and things couldn't be hidden anymore. All her efforts and happiness would be shattered because of their arrival. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.